Hello and welcome back to What If, where we take a look at the alternate universe and Elseworld stories from Marvel and DC Comics. Today we're reading the first half of What If, issue 29 from 1981. This comic proposes the question, what if the Avengers defeated everyone? That's a pretty enticing premise, so let's see if it pays off. Uadu the Watcher peers into the multiverse once again and finds a series of events within the history of the Marvel Universe. A tale from the early days of the Avengers. 2 weeks after the super team had first assembled, they faced their first membership crisis as the Hulk prepares to quit. The Hulk got ready to stomp out, declaring that he doesn't need the Avengers at all. Suddenly, in a flash though, a being clad in crimson red armor appears before them. "Greetings, Avengers. I have come from a timeless place to save mankind from itself. I am known as the Scarlet Centurion," the being proclaims. The Centurion tells them that he travels through time, offering aid where it is needed. Of course, Thor claims that this era is under their protection, but the Centurion wonders what good they have truly done. The being tells them that crisis after crisis is coming, but offers them the power to truly thwart the evil that is spreading. He gives them 24 hours to make their decision before disappearing. The team discusses the offer, and 24 hours later, the Centurion returns. The Avengers have agreed to hear the being out, and he tells them that the only way to save the world is to stop the proliferation of super beings on Earth. Though they questioned him, the Centurion explains that they have been small-minded. The horrors that have been committed and will be committed are the fault of super beings. He shows them a vision of the future to quiet their doubts, explaining that only by joining forces with him can they stop the end of the world. Finally, the team is convinced and agrees to work with the Centurion. With a nod, the being explains that they must vanquish every superpowered individual that walks the Earth. "I will then use my advanced science to disrupt their powers," the Centurion explains. And so, the Avengers are set to task, first setting their sights on the Fantastic Four. Jumping into the Baxter building, anxious to prove himself, the Hulk quickly smashes the Thing, and without their muscle, the rest of the family is quickly taken down one by one. While this unfolds, the Centurion watches on his view screens. Even though he is alone, the being decides to monologue to himself, as any true villain would. He removes his helmet, declaring that this is the final victory of Ramatut, and he is happy that the first victims of his plans are the Fantastic Four, who drove him from ancient Egypt on a previous mission of their own. During that misadventure, Ramatut fell into a time storm and met Dr. Doom, and learned more about the time of the Fantastic Four. While stranded in time, Ramatut advanced his technology and built weaponry. And finally, after analyzing the timelines, Ramatut picked his spot and went to the time when the Avengers were the most powerful beings on the planet, and the other heroes were so few that the team was unstoppable. Back in the present, however, the Avengers continue to defeat the super beings of the Earth. Next to fall is the Amazing Spider-Man, followed quickly by the mutant team known as the X-Men. Every super being falls before the might of the team, until finally, it is over. In their victory, the Avengers go on television, telling the world that they have defeated the super beings for the sake of the world. "From this day forth, those who by accident gain superpowers will turn themselves over to us for treatment, or force us to take action," Thor declares. With their work done, the Centurion once again appears before the Avengers. He tells them that only 5 more super beings remain on Earth. Them. The Hulk becomes angry, preparing to leave, but Thor launches his hammer and the team begins to fight. He quickly takes down Giant Man and continues to fight against Thor and Iron Man, but Iron Man hits him with a refractory light array, calming the angry beast. The Hulk is lulled and returns to the form of Bruce Banner. Before the puny human can even fall, he is claimed by the Centurion. The rest of the team realize what the Centurion meant by the last 5, so they decide to retire, revealing their secret identities to one another. With this done, Thor salutes his team and returns to Asgard once more. "Thus ends a legend," he proclaims. So each of the Avengers return to a life of non-superheroics, except for Thor, who has the rest of the 9 realms to defend. And with this done, the Centurion decides to make his move. He lands his ship in Washington, D.C., and declares to the Earth that without its defenders, they must surrender to him, or be destroyed. Tony Stark sees this on television and knows that he must act. He pulls out a suit of armor that he was working on before he retired, because he knows that he might have to face the Centurion alone, but that doesn't matter. He must at least try. Luckily, the door behind him opens, revealing a blonde man with a cane. "You will not battle alone, Avenger. I have contacted Giant Man and the Wasp. They will fight by your side," the man tells him. The team quickly gathers and assaults the Centurion in Washington. Iron Man's repulsors do nothing to the armor, and neither do Giant Man's fists. The Centurion quickly takes out each of the members of the team, knocking out Iron Man last. "So falls the last of Earth's protectors, and with him falls the Earth," the Centurion claims. But a voice calls from behind him that he is wrong. The Centurion turns to see the blonde man, and with his guard down, Donald Blake smacks his cane against the villain's armor, transforming into the mighty Thor. Thor quickly stuns the Centurion with Mjolnir. Even though the being uses his advanced powers, the son of Odin merely walks through it. The Centurion attempts to escape, but Thor flies and blocks his path. He uses a combination of his strength and magic to defeat the cosmic being. And with this done, Iron Man comes to the rest of the team, convinced that they have proven that the Avengers are still needed. But Thor disagrees, once again stating that Midgard has no place for a thunder god. Both Hank and Janet also agree, believing that there is no need for the team any longer. There are no super beings left on Earth. As he is left alone, Tony ponders about what the Avengers could have been in a different world. And that's the end of What If issue 29. Well, sort of. There's actually more story in this issue, but it's not relevant to the Avengers story we just went over, so we decided to skip it. Overall, though, I thought this issue was a bit lacking of the bite that these types of stories usually have, you know, like this super team or this character kills or defeats like the rest of the universe. Usually they have a little more bite than this. The like actual defeating part kind of happens in like 2 panels, but anyway, it's fine. Also, the Avengers here, while yes, manipulated by Kang, were pretty happy to go along with this random dude's plan to depower all their friends. Kind of a strange thing. Also, sorry for this one being shorter than normal. These single-issue what-ifs are all over the place in length. Sometimes they're like 60 pages long, sometimes they're just normal, like 21-page issues, so it's always hit or miss. But we will be getting back to some bigger multi-issue series soon, so those episodes will definitely be longer. Stay tuned for those. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to see when those exactly come out, or head over to patreon.com/Comicstorian to see the episodes before they're released to everyone. Thanks for watching as always. I will see you guys next time.